All right, guys, so this training is going to be on overcoming objections. Now, the only thing that stands between you and closing a deal is typically a what? Objection, all right? An objection to the sale, an objection to the cold calling, to even sitting down and having an appointment with you. Typically, the only thing standing between you and any of that is the fact that there's an objection. So today what we're going to try and go over is identifying some of the objections, identifying the similarities, and then coming up with a solution to make sure that you don't run into that same objection over and over again. Okay? I call it a game that you have to play to win. And you have to think of an objection as a game. Okay? My daughter plays softball. Okay? And she grew up through life loving the game of softball. But I want to go and rewind all the way back to when she first started playing softball. All right? She was 3 years old. And took her out in the backyard, and her mom bought her this cute little pink glove. Yeah, I couldn't talk her out of pink. But anyways, and I took the ball, and it was one of those foam ones, and I threw it to her. She covered her face with the glove and started crying, and Dad threw the ball at me, right? Because she did not understand the fact that part of this game is, she has to learn that the ball is going to come at her. Well, of course, my wife corrected me and told me I had to roll it at her at first too, but once that was figured out, she started being able to accept the fact that a ball coming at her is part of the game, okay? And as she grew older and older, the ball would come at her harder and harder, not just thrown to her, hit at her, hit high in the air, but they were all ways for her to be able to get better at the game she was playing, which was softball, because of the fact she accepted that part of her game was the fact that the ball would come at her. She had to catch it, okay? You as salespeople have to identify that objections are part of your game, all right? And that they're going to come. If they don't come at you, you should be actually concerned, all right? And they're not always going to be the same, but you're going to be able to identify how to correct and how to respond to an objection pretty close to the same way, all right? And that's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about how do you overcome an objection without going crazy, and how do you not continue to hear the same objection over and over and over again, okay? So, like I said, it's a game you must play to win. All right, an objection, all right? An objection is simply a customer asking for more information, all right? That's the first thing that I need each of you to understand, all right? If you run into an objection, it's a customer asking you for more information, okay? Or they're trying to get rid of you. As a salespeople, they see a lot of you. Sometimes up to 10, maybe 15 salespeople a day, right? One of their quickest responses or quickest objection is to get you out of their store. They don't have time to deal with you now. I don't have time right now. I'm too busy. No hablo English, all right? Whatever the case may be, they're coming up with an objection to get rid of you, okay? What's that? Oh. All right. In a presentation, I need you to understand that the better your presentation is, the less chance for you to get an objection. Right? In the earlier training, we did a training on presentations, and I gave a presentation to Karen, and I went over every detail of the magazine, where it was going to hit, the size that best worked for her, and then went into the expectation sheet. Was there a whole lot for her to give an objection to, besides maybe the investment at the end? Not really, all right? The better your presentation is, the better chance you won't end up with objections, all right? You have to be able to paint a word picture, right? I got to tell you guys all this right now. If you're going to be a salesperson, doesn't matter what it's going to be. If you're going to go and sell cars, if you're going to sell save-on advertising, if you're going to sell at the local grocery store, right? Whatever you sell, if you can get emotions involved in the sale, if you can paint a word picture and get people excited about what you're trying to sell, you're going to be more successful than if you just try and sell the product outright, right? Most of the objections that you run into will come at you prior to the actual presentation, right? Most of the objections you're going to run into are going to be to even sit down with you. If you get a customer to sit down and do a presentation with you, you've already went 60% of the way. Now it's time to have fun. We all know our 9-step rule to a presentation now. We're going to make it flow, right? Most of the objections you run into are going to be just to have that sit down and have that appointment. So you have to get very good at cold calling and very good at that card and smile technique. Remember, the less you say, the better off you are. You're just trying to get their time. Along with when you're into the presentation, the more value that you show, just like we talked about earlier when we did the other training, the more value I showed about the car that I had outside for $5,000, the more I told you about it, the more you wanted it, right? The less objections you had. John's objection was, well, what, is it paid for? Or am I going to get the payments? Well, once I said, and it's paid for, John's objection went away, right? So the better that you do in your presentation and the more information you give, the less chance of objections that you're going to run into. I want you each to commit to me something today. Right? When you leave today, if you don't get anything out of the other training we did, or anything out of this training, I want you to get one thing out of it. All right? I want you to promise to me that you will never hear the same objection twice. If you hear an objection that you took all of this time to do an amazing presentation, all of the preparation, and you did a 9-step presentation, and you get to the end and there's an objection that you do not know how to handle, because it's the only thing standing between you and a close, you write it down. You take that objection to your manager, you take that objection to a senior rep, you take that objection to me. I don't care where you go, but you talk about it, right? And you do everything you can to make sure that you do not hear that objection twice without having an answer for it, okay? You have to understand, what did they say the definition of insanity is?
Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
So what are we, are salespeople insane? I mean, why do we keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting it to work this time? Stop the insanity. Maybe that's what we're going to get you guys for Christmas. Save on shirts and on the back or say, stop the insanity. All right? You got to make sure that if you hear an objection, I'm going to tell you a little secret about sales. And I've said it a couple of times, but I think I got to say it 7 times before it sinks in, right? Is that how Mike says it? The only thing standing between you and closing the deal is an objection. There was an objection, whether you like it or not, whether you understand it or not. If you walk out of that appointment without a closed deal, there was an objection. Okay? So you have to make sure you identify what it was, write it down, and make sure you don't run into it again. Pretty soon, you're going to run out of objections that you haven't dealt with, and they'll all be closes, right? Okay. All right. Now, along with that, you can be your own worst objection. Objections don't just have to come from the customer. You can talk yourself out of a deal. You can. You cannot ask for the close. Seen it happen, right? Do not be your own objection. Make sure you follow the 9 steps in a presentation. Make sure you ask leading questions that lead to the sale, right? And don't give more information than you need to get to give them so that you can get to a presentation, right? Don't be your own worst objection. So, where should most objections take place? If in a perfect world, not where do they take place. Most of them happen basically to get you to a presentation. But if you're doing everything right, if you're doing a card and smile technique to get the appointment, you're doing the 9 steps in a presentation, where should the objections get pushed to? The end. The very end, right? We can all handle it when we've said everything. If you say everything that you feel you had to say, and you gave an amazing presentation, do you feel you could handle objections if it was at the end? And not interrupting you? Right? You got to give your whole demonstration? Then let's get him to there. All right? Objections are just steps in a sale. All right? Now, some of you are going to tell me that, well, there's some actual really good objections. Yes, and guess what? Some of them are really conditions. All right? Conditions are a valid reason for not going ahead. If you run into a condition, it's a valid reason for not going ahead. Now, can you guys, anyone give me an example of a condition versus an objection? Yes.
I only do AdWords.
I consider that more of an objection.
Okay.
I think we can overcome that.
They're going out of business?
They're going out of business. Well, let's add to that. They're going out of business next week or the week after. Because if they're going out of business, they might want to advertise that they're going out of business, especially if it's going to be a month or two away. I had a fire. We had water damage. My merchandise got ruined. All right? Those are conditions. I have a death in the family, and I'm going to be closing the store down for a month or two. Conditions, right? But the secret with a condition is that you have to treat it like an objection until you've tested it. Ask some questions, all right? Respond to it and make sure that it's a valid reason not to move forward. Don't just assume that every objection is an actual condition. Okay? Does everyone know the difference between the two? What is an objection? Customer asking for more information. What is a condition? It's a valid reason not to move forward. Okay? So, now, if he says, well, he doesn't have the budget, could that be a condition? I'm going to test it to make sure. I'm not going to ask him to show me his bank account, but I'm going to, because basically, with what we're talking about here, it's an investment where they're going to get more back. So we have room to increase his budget. But you have to be able to identify it, and you have to work at it. Right? Treat a condition like an objection. If it doesn't break down, accept it. All right? If no condition exists, if there isn't a condition, and you don't make the sale, whose fault is it? It's whose? Yours. If you have a presentation and you walk out of there and you're like, it wasn't really an objection, but you didn't have an agreement in your hand, who was the objection? You were. All right? You got to make sure that all sales consultants understand that they can be their own objection. And you also got to live by a set of rules that I say, all right? And it's the two don'ts and one do. All right? First of all, don't argue. All right? Don't fight their emotion. All right? You can't change their emotion. Arguing with them isn't going to make them all of a sudden go, oh, yeah, you're right, right? But what you do want to do is lead them to an answer, their own objection through questioning. An objection literally defines their area of interest, all right? So you don't argue, you don't fight their emotion, but you do lead them to answer their own objection through asking questions. And I've been saying that over and over. Asking questions is the right way to get through anything. Right? If they say that they don't advertise, if someone sticks with I do not advertise, are you going to be able to change their emotion by saying you should? Huh? Well, Paula, how come you don't advertise?
I don't like it.
Well, that's just stupid. Now, am I going to talk her into advertising like that? right? So I'm not going to fight her emotion. I'm not going to argue with her. But what I am going to do is I'm going to ask her questions to try and change her mind. So Paula, how do you get new customers?
I just tell people.
Okay, word of mouth?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And are you looking to grow your business this year?
I'm doing fine the way I'm doing right now.
Okay, you're pretty happy with stabilizing.
Yeah.
But you don't want to lose any of your existing customers because then you'd make less money, right?
That's true.
So maybe rewarding your customers would be kind of nice to keep them to stay with you. Asking a series of questions is getting me to the point where I can make a recommendation about rewarding her customers, all right? It's not the same as saying, well, that's stupid. Why don't you give out something to your existing customers? But what I did is I asked her questions where she's starting to think about things, okay? If you say it, they're not going to believe it. If you say it, it's not true. I'm going to tell you that right now. But if they say it, it's what?
It's true.
It's true. Ask them questions to get them to lead them to answering their own objection. You guys have all done that, right? Val, you do that all the time. But you have to know what questions to ask. It's just like painting a word picture and saying the right words. If I say chocolate ice cream with fudge on top and a strawberry, some of you guys are actually visualizing a sundae with a strawberry on top because I'm saying the right words, right? You as a salesperson have to be able to paint a word picture and know what words to say in order to do that. But on top of that, you need to be able to ask the right questions to get them to say what you want them to say. Just like how we did the Queen of Hearts earlier. I had to ask the right questions to lead her to her Queen of Hearts. That makes sense? Anyone confused so far? Everyone agreeing with me? And these are just the general, what we're doing is we're going over what an objection is right now. Okay? Kind of the general understanding of an objection. All right, steps in overcoming an objection. All right, the first thing is hear them out. Don't interrupt. You want to know what the objection is, and they will tell you. You can ask questions to try and dig down to it, but hear them out and don't interrupt. Listen to everything they have to say. They're going to tell you what the problem is. If you're going to be the doctor of sales, you need to know what's ailing your customer. Okay? Feed it back to them. So once they've said something, repeat it back to them and elaborate on key facts. Okay? So John's telling me that right now his budget was already done in October. All right? He went ahead and made a marketing budget. He used money for print. He used money for TV. He used money for billboards. All right? That is his objection to the plan that I laid out. I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to feed it back to him. So, John, all of your marketing budget got used up? Did you guys allocate anything for just in case?
Not really.
Okay. So, I'm bringing it back to them. I was hoping that maybe he did have a little bit, but that's okay. I was just asking a question to see if maybe there's a little bit there. So now maybe I'm going to ask a little more details. So, John, in that budget that you put together last October, and you were separating, did you have a certain amount for print marketing?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And just so I can really understand your business, when you put your budget together, what was it based on as far as a return?
We were looking for, what we did was every door direct, and we were looking for at least a 2% return.
Okay, 2% return overall.
Correct.
So, John, if I was able to, and you really liked the presentation and everything, and you felt that the guaranteed program was really good and the money we were talking about, has any of your other types of advertising showed you a return as of yet?
We did get 2% return on our every door direct.
Okay.
I would have hoped, on one hand, that was the bar that we set, and we accomplished it, but I was hoping for customers with a little bit deeper pockets.
Okay, no, I understand. So, John, as you saw in our guarantee program, I mean, the return is quite substantial. We're looking at 4,800 over the course of the next 6 months. With that type of return and noticing that some of your other ones aren't quite getting you that return, wouldn't it be wise for us to look into maybe finding a way to bring this into the budget? Maybe we can sit down and kind of figure out some of the numbers together.
Well, I suppose I could look at some things and maybe switch some projects around that we have scheduled later in the year.
Maybe
There
some
might
of
be a
them.
possibility.
Maybe some of them that aren't offering a guarantee.
Nobody else is offering a guarantee.
Well, but you see, so you ask the questions, you repeat it, you dig for more information, and then you try and solve the problem, okay? And then once you've done that, you reconfirm it and make sure that we're both on the same page, right? My goal was to try and talk to John about maybe looking into taking some of his budget into that he's going to spend with someone else. He actually gave me an idea that some of the stuff he's going to spend later in the year, maybe he could spend it on us now to be able to get that return going right away. Now, most sales reps would do this. John or tell him, my budget's used up for the year. And you know what most sales reps do? Okay. And they walk away. All right? You have to be, if you're going to handle an objection, you have to understand at certain times when you're out there selling, you're going to get a pop fly, and sometimes you're going to get a line drive. That ball is going to come at you, all right? And it doesn't matter how the ball comes at you. It matters how you handle it, all right? That was just an objection. He has no budget, all right? I had to ask questions, identify, and come up with a solution, and then check my answer with him, all right? You have to make sure, once you clarify it, and you say, so does that make sense? Is one way to say it. Does that sound like a good idea? Ask questions to make sure you're both on the same page. Just because you feel like you answered the objection does not mean that it was answered to them. All right? You can't go, okay, well, good, John. We're going to go ahead and move forward. No. So does that make sense, John? Maybe we can pull some money from something there that's not quite as guaranteed as something now that we can definitely make you some good money through the summer.
I'm willing to take a look at it.
Okay. That is a lot closer than we were a minute ago when he told me that his budget is used up. Okay? So once you went ahead and you confirmed the answer, you can go ahead and move back to your presentation with that information and try and close again. Okay? Does everyone see where I'm going here? It's important for you not to just take an objection and say, oh, okay, and walk away. You have to ask questions. Do not fight their emotion. Do not argue with them, but do ask questions that are trying to lead them to answering their own objection. All right? All right, the next one. I know you guys can't read this one, but what this is objections to an appointment. Here are some very common objections. Once again, all of this is in the back office. There's quite a few of them to an appointment. Right here, all right? First of all, make it easy on yourself. We teach here at Save On the card and smile technique. With the card and smile technique, what is the key behind it? Someone, what's the key behind the card and smile technique of cold calling? Just get the appointment, right? The less you say, the better chance you're going to get the appointment, right? The more you say, the more they had to object to, right? So I want you to tell me, I have no money, my budget is spent. If I'm doing the card and smile technique, am I going to hear that objection too often? I have no money, my budget is spent. You might. You might. But if you go in there and you're just asking for an appointment to sit down and talk to them about their marketing, the chances of hearing that is way lower than you're going in and trying to do in a full presentation. All right? I use Clipper, and I'm happy. How about that? Are you going to hear that too often? You might hear it once in a while. But remember, you're just trying to get an appointment. You're not trying to identify, or take someone's position or sell them marketing today. You're walking in there and you're saying, hi, how you doing? My name is Doug from Save On. I was wondering if I could sit down with you for about 15 minutes, let's say Monday or Tuesday, see if I can help you grow your business. I mean, I hardly even mentioned marketing, did I? Or did I even mention marketing? All right, I'm trying to get that card and smile technique. So I'm probably not going to hear too many of these objections. I had poor response with direct mail. Am I going to hear that? I didn't even say direct mail. All right. Just got burned recently with another direct mail company. Now, I can teach you how to handle all of these objections individually. You repeat the objection back. There's certain words. All of that's in the back office. What I'm teaching you now is not to have them come up. If you do the card and smile technique, you're not going to run into a lot of these objections. Val, you do the card and smile technique only, right? Have you heard just got burned recently by another direct mail company? No, it's not one you run into because of the way that you're cold calling. Call me later. I don't have time to talk to you. That's okay. Hey, I don't even consider that an objection. What I consider that is a postponement.
It's an open invitation.
There you go. He just told me to call him later.
When do you want to
Yeah, what time can I stop in or what time can I call you back? All right? Business is bad. That's why I'm here. Right? I had a feeling. I came in. All right? Let's sit down and talk for about 15 minutes, see if I can help you grow your business or help make it good. Okay? Coupons ain't working for me. I didn't mention coupons. All right? Card and smile technique, I don't even talk about coupons. You shouldn't hear this. I'm not interested. I don't advertise. I can tell you right now, if you hear that objection, I do not advertise, and you do not change it. In other words, I mean get him to say something different, him or her, then you will not be able to sit down with that customer. If they stick with I do not advertise, you're not going to be able to sit down. So you have to repeat it back to them. Am I correct? First thing is repeat. So, Mario, you don't advertise?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's next? What do? I just repeated it back to him. I got a question for my understanding. So, Mario, how do you get new customers?
Word of mouth.
Okay. Use word of mouth. Is that working well for you?
It's working all right.
Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm checking my understanding. I'm trying to get him to say something different than I do not understand or I do not advertise. All right? So Mario, are you looking to grow your business this year?
Oh, I'm always looking to grow my business.
Okay. And what is word of mouth the only way that you're using to grow your business?
Well, we actually do a little bit of advertising.
Oh, you do a little bit. Okay. All right, great. You guys see where, by asking questions, I was able to dig that out. Now, even if he would have said, nope, I only use word of mouth, that's okay. What sparks word of mouth?
Advertising.
Someone seeing something, right? Right? People do not wake up in the morning and go, today's the day. I got to go tell everyone about Mario's Pizza. That's all I'm doing today. Boss, I'm not coming in. I got to go tell everyone about Mario's Pizza. It just doesn't happen. All right? So what happens is he ends up going to work and they have pizza. And all of a sudden he tells everyone around the water cooler, we should have ordered it from Mario's. It's a better pizza than this one. All right? Something has to happen to get him to start doing word of mouth. Well, what's better than 25,000 of our magazines going out to telling everyone around, and then he sees that and he goes, oh, shoot, I better tell more people about how good this is. There's a coupon for Mario's, buy one, get one free. We should order Mario's this week. All right? If you can get to the point where you talk to them about what they're doing besides I do not advertise, you can move on that objection. Okay? I already know about Save On. Okay, well, good. Could we sit down and just kind of see if we're both on the same page? On top of that, we've offered a lot of new products. Have you heard about our new Guaranteed program? About our new customer expectation sheet? We have a lot of great things that we've changed in the last couple years. How'd you like to sit down and talk about them? Okay? Guys, these are all objections that can happen to you before an actual appointment. But if you use the card and smile technique for cold calling, you're going to eliminate a lot of them. The ones you don't eliminate, you just turn by repeating it back to them and then asking questions to check your understanding, but always ask a question that leads to a what? To an appointment. Always. If I ask you a question, so would you like to hear more about it, Pete? How about I come in Monday or Tuesday next week, tell you a little more about it?
Sounds good.
Okay? Ask questions that lead to an appointment. You have to sit to sell. You guys agree with that? I mean, I can't skip the order, right? The first order is to have an appointment, and then after the appointment, I can sit down and do a presentation. I can't just do a presentation first, okay? So let's say here, I have no money and my budget is spent. Okay, that's my objection to you, Karen. What would you do first of all?
I would say, well, Doug, what you're saying is your budget is spent for 2017?
Okay, so you repeat it back to me, all right? And then ask a leading question that is going to end up leading to a appointment, okay? So I say, yeah, my budget's pretty much gone.
Mm-hmm.
What's a good question you could ask me that would lead to an appointment?
Tell me, Doug, how do you get your customers?
You know, I do advertising. I just don't have any money left this year.
Oh, so what you're telling me is you spent all your budget on a little bit of advertising. What kind of advertising?
We do a little bit of everything. I do print and I do TV and I do billboard.
Okay, and how's it working for you?
You know, pretty good. Okay. So what I'm trying to get you to do here is, and I see you're asking a lot of questions, but I want you to ask a question that leads to an appointment a little bit sooner. Yes?
When you say pretty good, what advertising works best for you think, right now, of those different things you're doing?
Probably the big billboard we put up on 80.
And the other advertising you're doing, are you looking to improve it a little bit?
It's a little early in the campaign. We just started it 2 months ago. I can't really tell yet. So you guys are asking questions, but you're not asking leading questions to get to an appointment. Remember, you're not trying to sell anything at the cold call. You're just trying to get an appointment. So the guy said, I have no money, my budget is spent. You repeat it back to him. The next thing that you want to do is you want to ask a question that ends with, I'd love to sit down and talk to you. Could anyone give me an example of what that could be?
Are any of your current advertisers guaranteeing your results?
Guarantee?
Mm-hmm.
You have a guarantee?
I do. I'd love to sit down with you on Tuesday. Morning or afternoon would be better for you.
A leading question. Very quick and to the point. Okay, that was perfect, Val. So what Val did is said, is any of your other advertising offering a guarantee? We have a guarantee. He says, a guarantee? Yes. Love to sit down and talk to you about it. Do you see how that's very quick and to the point, and it's a leading question? Now, after that is address any concerns and offer a solution. And then if they still don't give the appointment, ask for the appointment again. So let's say that I had another concern. Well, you know, I don't have a lot of time this week. I don't have a lot of time this week. Would be
I
my
only need about 10 or 15 minutes.
okay. Keep going.
Oh, I only need about 10 or 15 minutes to come in and show you what I can help you build your business
Okay.
and discuss the guarantee.
Would Monday or
I'm sorry. Okay, would one day,
would Monday or Tuesday work better
would
for you?
Monday or Tuesday work better for you, morning or afternoon?
When you're trying to get the appointment, you answer the question, and then you circle right back to the appointment. Don't spend a lot of time asking questions that don't get you anywhere. Because what happens when you finally run out of questions? You're standing there going, so what do you think? You know? And you used up a bunch of good questions that you just had to tie them down to an appointment with them. All of your questions were great, but you got to tie it up with, I'd love to show you. I can show you how I can help you grow your business. Is it okay if I come in next week, Monday or Tuesday? Would morning or afternoon work better for you? Okay? You have to sit to sell. That's just, if you do not get the appointment, you're not going to sell the customer. It's just the way it is. Okay? We all agree there? All right. These are some of the other objections before the presentation. Okay? I tried direct mail and it doesn't work. I work with an agency. It's not our image. Okay? I have no money. I'm already with blah, 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 and I'm happy. I'm not interested. And I'm only doing digital marketing this year. So these are all objections that are what I consider like defensive blocks. Okay, every one of these, right? Is there a favorite one that you guys really like up there? How about if someone says I'm working with an agency? How do you get around that one?
Oh, I see if,
You ask them for the agency's information.
Okay, you ask for the agency's information.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Now, I don't ask for the agency's information. Mm-mm. Not right away. So, Pete, you work with an agency? I repeat it back to him. Try and understand my understanding. So, Pete, I understand that. I mean, you're a great businessman, and you've got an agency to handle the kind of everyday type thing. Make sure that the bills are being paid. Make sure the agency takes care of the artwork and all that. That's pretty much what you use the agency for. Am I correct? Now, let me know, does your agency basically, once they've decided something, they send it over to you for your approval to make sure that it's something you want to do?
Yes.
Okay, so really, you use an agency to take care of the marketing, but you make the decisions on what you do overall. Your agency just presents it to you.
Yes.
What I'd like to do is if you would just give me a few minutes, maybe 15 minutes next week, and I know you normally run it through your agency, give you an opportunity to see this ahead of time, and then I can go and present it to your agency with your blessing. But I really feel that this product here is going to be one that you're going to want to do. It'll only take about 15 minutes. Does Monday or Tuesday work better for you?
Tuesday.
So what I did is I checked his whether or not he was the one who actually made the decision. Now, if he would have answered to me, no, my agency does everything, what would I have done? Can I have your agency's information? And I would have tried to schedule an appointment. But I got to be honest with you, most business owners have some kind of fingers in the pot as far as the agency. Ask the questions. If you immediately, as soon as they say, I have an agency, if you immediately go, oh, can I have the agency number? You could be missing out on an opportunity. Ask the questions, okay? Paula, you said there was one you liked up there. Which one was it?
I only do Google AdWords. I have a pizza place that told me that.
I only do Google AdWords, I only do digital, all right? What they're doing is they're limiting their opportunity to really get out. And the reason they're choosing to do Google AdWords or digital is because they believe that it's cost relevant, all right? They're using one form of marketing where the investment is very low. So what they need to do is they need a moment for you to sit down with them and show them that you have a better ROI, right? I love the fact, Paula, that you use digital marketing. It shows that you know a lot about the way that things are going. We have a great digital piece that goes with our print. Could I sit down with you or take about 15 minutes to show it to you?
I would love it.
Okay. Would Monday or Tuesday work better for you?
Monday.
Okay. So, guys, what you do is no matter what the objection is, work it to a appointment. You don't have to sell it today. All you have to do is have a good one-liner that goes along with the objection. It's great that you use digital. I think that's amazing. Can I tell you a little bit about how our digital product works with our print? Okay.
Can you talk about number 3, please?
Number 3, it's not our image. How many of you have had a dentist say that to you? Dentists say it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a restaurant that
Restaurant.
Restaurants, yeah.
this is not the platform we want.
Okay. So the first question that I have is typically, if you're doing a card and smile technique, you're just trying to get the appointment. So really, they're not knowing what type of image you have. And if they ask me, well, what are you guys? I usually say we have a variety of different products, because we do. We have DALs, we have inserts, we have the print, we have digital. But let's say you get to the point where a customer says to you, it's not our image, all right? There's a lot of different ways to handle that. Right? You can ask them what their demographic is. You can ask them what their clientele is. All right? I had a deno, and I use a little humor in this one, but I had a dentist who says, we don't do magazines. Nope, we don't do them. I said, really? Nope, it's just not the right venue for us. Yeah.
We don't do coupons at that.
Yeah, we don't do coupons. All right? I don't believe our people would be reading that book. That was, everything I was getting from this dentist. And I said to him, I said, well, could you tell me a little bit about your demographic? And he says, yeah, it's, typically female families over the age of 45. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, that's our magazine. And he's like, pretty high income, 64,000 and above. And I'm like, wow, that's really our magazine. And I just wanted an appointment. I don't have to sell it to him today. I just have to sit down. And I said, would you say that anything else about your demographics that they all have in common? And he goes, well, that's about it. I said, what about teeth? All your customers have teeth? And he goes, yeah. He goes, yeah, they have teeth. Kind of chuckled a little bit. And I go, well, guess what? 90% of our customers that read our magazine have teeth. And he got a laugh out of it, and he goes, all right. And I said, I just need 15 minutes, all right? So the thing about it is ask questions. Now, I'm not telling you use the teeth guy with the restaurant, but everyone eats. Now, that's one way to take it where I use a little humor. Another way with a restaurant, maybe you're not going to use humor, but you can talk to them about the fact that maybe they're more of a cover person. Maybe they're more of a front or back cover. I understand that you don't want to be inside the magazine. How would you like to give your appearance on our front cover or back cover? All right? I'd love to sit down with you next week when Monday or Tuesday work better for you and talk about how maybe I can help you with our covers or some of our other products.
This is traditional, it's almost reverse. What if that's almost what the issue is, but then there's no front or back covers available?
Then maybe you have inserts or DALs that you could talk to them about. But I wouldn't go specific. I would go broaden, and I'd say I have a variety of other products that I can talk to you about. Love to sit down and hear some of your needs and how I can help them. During the needs assessment, I'd come up with a plan. But knowing that that's already their objection ahead of time, when you prepare, you make sure that you're ready for it. Maybe sit down with your manager and get some ideas on what type of product you should be talking to them about. Maybe go and identify some other restaurants that are in their category, their type of high end, that are already using our product and are very successful.
Side question then, can we sell like one cover, or is that we still sell a program?
All of your sales is going to really be up to your local manager. So what you want to do is you want to ask your local manager about that. Okay? Oh, that's good. All right, so common objections. An objection is defined as a statement presented in opposition. Another way to think of an objection is simply that the customer is requesting more information from you. Objections are steps to the sale. Play the game. If you listen carefully, the objection can actually help you make the sale. All right? If you listen to them carefully, play the game, hear all of their objections. It will really, a lot of times, the objection is what closes the sale for you. If they have an objection and it's strong enough, and you end up answering it by saying, I can do this, then what do they have left to object to? All right? As marketing consultants, we have to be able to handle objections and know how to overcome them without thinking. All right? You got to be able to react. All right? What's the definition of insanity? We already talked about that. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. If I am doing zone 19 and we have construction on the main road in zone 19, let's call it Burr Street. Right? The whole road's being tore up for 6 months. All of the business owners are upset about it. I knock on the first business and I have Karen here. Come walking in and I try and get an appointment. She goes, are you kidding me? I am so upset right now. This whole road is tore up. I'm not doing anything. I'm upset. Okay? And I leave there and I go, okay, well, the objection is what? The road's tore up, construction. I go to the next place and I walk in and Paula is there. And I say to her, hi, Paula, I'm Doug from Save On. She goes, are you kidding me? What are you guys doing? I've got roads. I'm all upset. You know, once again, I've heard the same objection twice. I can probably knock on the next 10 businesses, and how many of them do you think would give me that same objection? So I have to make a choice, right? Either I can come up with a solution that might make them happy, or I can go to a different road. Right? But you got to make a choice. You don't want to keep going over and over. Maybe I go into the next street and I walk into Scotty P and I go, hey, Scott, I understand that you guys have got construction going on for the next 6 months. This is terrible. So now I'm talking to him before he even brings it up. I'm like, but I got this idea. We should do a construction, some kind of construction 2-page spread and put something, come and visit the businesses. We're still open during the construction. And then maybe I can go back to Paula and Karen and tell them about it, and I get everyone all excited about it, right? But it's about you thinking on the spot and not accepting to hear the same objection over and over and over again, okay? All right. Every time you go out to a customer and they give you an objection you don't know how to handle, you should write it down. We already talked about that. All right, let's go into objections during the presentation real quick. All right, there are really about 5 objections that you can run into during a presentation that are most common. Excuse me, I'm gonna take a drink real quick. All right, cost too much money. Anyone ever heard that one before? That's kind of a new one, right? Guys, if you use that new technique that I taught you, the guaranteed close, did you see how you say the price? So, Airbnb $485 is the investment, and then how much is the average sale? Did you see how you say the price, but you're just moving down your list? All right, unless they stop you and go, hey, wait, how much? Right? You're moving down the list to show value. Now, the other way to do it is, so Val, the half page would be $485. I got to wait for her to respond. Do you see the difference? One way I'm talking about it in a line item where I'm going to show the value. The other way, I'm just throwing it out there and seeing if it sticks. Which one sounds better to you? And the guaranteed, right? Right down the line item. So the investment would be $990, and how much is the average customer? I got them thinking about something else right away. And then I'm getting down, and then I show the value, and we're like, oh, that's only 3 customers. Oh, $990 doesn't sound so bad now, does it? Okay? All right. I want to think it over. You ever heard that one, Pete?
Yes.
So what should you do if they say, I want to think it over?
Well, first of all, I would ask if they were the only decision.
Okay, yep, you asked the right question in the beginning.
And then,
They don't want to talk about anyone else, they just want to think about it.
I would say, is there any questions that you have about the product that I can answer right now so it can help you think about it?
Well, okay, so that's a question where they could just answer it by saying, nope, I like everything, I just want to think it over, and you're kind of stuck. So ask more of a leading question. Maybe something where you can get them talking a little bit, like maybe take the magazine and hand it to them and say, I understand that you want to take some time to think about this. Is it okay if I ask you a few questions? And then you hand them the magazine and say, could you tell me 3 things you like about the magazine? And you get them talking about that, right? And once they tell you they like the paper, they love where it goes to, they like the fact that, you have very nice quality ads, then you could ask them this question, which will give you your true objection. What is it? What is the question you can ask them? Anyone know? What is it you would change about our magazine? So what is it that you would change about the magazine? Well, I wish it wasn't so expensive. Bingo! Found the objection. So the price that I gave you, Pete, was $485 for 6 issues. And I understand that's a large investment. It looks like, I need to get you 3 customers to break even. What is more in your budget? What are you thinking about, like a price range?
I would say, like right around $400, like $350 to $400.
If I was able to do something around $420, right? If I'm able to get it down to $420, would that be somewhere in your budget? I know it's a little higher than a $400, but look at the investment. We're talking about bringing you back about $4,800 in the next 6 months.
And it'd still be with the guarantee?
Still with the guarantee.
Then I can do it.
So what I did is I went from 25 to 20%. I asked questions to get me to the sale, all right? And it all started because he wanted to think it over. I identified his objection. His objection wasn't he wanted to think it over. What he was really saying in Morse code or customer code was, I want you to leave because you're too expensive. But I had to dig that out of him. But if you're a salesperson and you don't do that, you're going to walk out of there thinking he's thinking it over. And you're going to walk back in there next week and you're going to go, Pete, how's it going, man? Hey, have you had time to think about it? And he's thinking in his mind, this guy doesn't get it. He's too expensive. Get out of here, you bum. But no, what is he going to say to you? Still thinking about it. Still thinking about it. Right? You just got to learn how to read between the lines. So if you ask the right questions, you don't run into that situation of coming back and forth. Okay? I have to talk it over with my partner or manager, Mario. How can we solve that one?
By asking up front if he's the decision maker.
If he's what? Tell me the exact question.
Are you the sole decision maker?
Will you
for
have
marketing?
will you have to go over any of this with anyone else? Remember the most important question you can ask? I bet you're all going to ask that now on, aren't you?
But now we're already into the presentation, and you said we were supposed to say, oh, in the beginning, you had told me that you were the only decision maker.
Oh, that's true. During cold calling, they ask, but when I do the presentation, I re-ask that question right at the moment.
Okay.
Are you the only decision maker? Will you have to go over any of this with anyone else? Will you be able to make a decision today if you like what we're doing? Guys, when they come out to sell you windows or siding or whatever for your house, what do they always ask you to do?
Are you the homeowner?
Homeowner, husband and wife.
Yeah.
They want both of you there. All right? That way you can't go, I got to go talk to my wife about this. All right? That's what I used to use all the time. All right? Same thing here. I can't make up my mind what I want to advertise 2 months from now. Ooh, any of us heard that objection before? Anyone? Oh, then we won't go over it. No, just kidding. So what you run into sometimes is a customer will talk to you about the fact that we come out so early. All right, we're right now doing the June issue, right? And what's today's date? April 24th. All right. How am I supposed to decide what I'm going to do in June? Right? Which is true if they're doing advertising based on gut emotion. Talk to them about a campaign marketing. So Val, would you like to, I could sit down and talk to you about campaign marketing. I mean, you know that, when's your company's anniversary?
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. So you pretty much knew for a while what you were going to run around that anniversary special, right?
Correct.
And you know that you guys are always busy for Mother's Day, so you kind of plan for Mother's Day, am I correct? Same thing with the rest of the year. Let's talk about campaign-based marketing, all right? Then it's not about every 2 months. It's about the entire year. That's a good way to bring it up.
And it,
So anyone have any questions about these objections during the presentation? You guys are pretty clear on that? Okay. I talked already about the combat strategies and 3 common objections to the close. What are objections? Objections are basically the fact that the customer, I've said over and over, the customer needs more information. All right? And to be able to handle a good objection, you need to be able to paint a good word picture. Am I correct? All right? So you as salespeople, you need to practice your trade as being able to paint a word picture. All right? Being very eloquent when it comes to your magazine. Being able to paint a word picture on how they're going to make money. All right? They will find the money if they truly want it to create more value and a great return. So what I'm trying to say here is a customer will find the money if they say that they don't have the money right now, if they truly want something. Just like that car out in the parking lot. I told you it was $5,000. If you truly wanted it, you're going to find the money. Right? You might have to call up your brother, your cousin, your uncle, whatever, but you're going to find it. All right? What will your customer base their decision on? Is it going to be the total investment, or is it going to be the return? When we were doing the presentation, Karen, what did we talk about? The amount of return, not the investment. I identified the return, and I stayed concentrated on the return. I barely talked about the total investment. I think I just barely said it was $990. But what did I say about 6 times? How'd you like to make $4,800? Okay? All right, objections are simply defense mechanisms the customer uses to try to get rid of a salesperson. You guys believe that? Sometimes. Sometimes they want more information, but a lot of times they're just trying to get rid of you because they don't believe that a lot of times salespeople have a whole lot more to offer. Each day that you guys go in there and you cold call someone, understand that they have between 2 and 15 salespeople that come in every single day. All right? What's going to make you stand out? Find a way to stand out. All right. The first part is going to be the objection before the presentation. How to handle these different objections and get in the door. The second part is going to be the objection after the presentation. All right? And handling more objections. So the first part of your whole process is going to be getting into the door. You're going to have a few objections you got to handle there. Once you've done that, there'll be the objection to the close. All right? That's it. Those are the only two places you'll run into objections. Repeat them and answer them. All right? Think of an objection as a tennis match, like I said. If they go ahead and they serve an objection to you, you hit it back to them. The person who hits the ball last wins, just like a tennis match. You should be actually to the point where you get excited about objections. You should. You'd be like, all right, the game has started. I'm done with my presentation. Okay, so you don't have money. All right. Click, find money. No, I'm just kidding. But what you need to be able to do is as soon as they throw an objection at you, have something smart to say back to them that leads you to where you're trying to go. If it's before the presentation, then you need it to lead you to the presentation. If it's during the presentation, it should lead you to the sale. Okay? We're doing really good, guys. All right, so here is a type of a way to handle an objection. How many of you guys have went into a place and a customer said to you, you were doing your presentation, and a customer said to you, well, Paula, I just need to know how much it is. Anyone ever run into that?
Yeah.
All right, so one technique to be able to handle that is called putting the shoe on the other foot. Anyone ever heard of that technique? Does it work pretty good?
Well, I don't use it too often.
Okay,
I should-
but if you ran into the situation, you would.
Yeah.
All right, putting the shoe on the other foot is basically taking what they do and describing it in the way of what you're doing. So an example, let's say it was a carpet salesperson, okay? And I was in there and I was talking to Keith, who sells carpet, and he says, well, I just want to know how much is it? How much is it to run in your magazine? I say, well, Keith, you sell carpet here. If I came walking in and I said, hey, how much is it to carpet my house? You'd have to ask some questions. Am I correct? You guys all agree with that?
Yeah.
You'd have to ask me how big my rooms are, what type of padding I want. Is there a certain type of carpet we like? Is there a style? There's quite a few questions you'd have to ask. Just like that, Mario, or Keith, I have to ask you some questions to find out what best fits for you. So if you could give me a few minutes, let's say 15 minutes on Monday or Tuesday, I could go ahead and ask you those questions and we could find out what would be the best fit for you. That's putting the shoe on the other foot. Don't try it if it's a sub shop and they have the prices behind you. It doesn't work. You have to use a different technique. So putting the shoe on the other foot is basically taking whatever they do and turn it around to the fact that they would have to ask questions to be able to give me a price. It works with home improvement. It works with a lot of service. It doesn't work with any company that has a price sheet. Okay? All right. History, read back. All right? So this is another type of objection. All right? And this is basically the objection that I use a different type of advertising. All right? So let's say that someone says to you that they use Valpak. All right? I use Valpak. Been using them for quite a few years. All right? You can ask them questions about that type of advertising. And it's called the history readback. All right? What type of advertising are you currently using? Well, I use Valpak, and I've been with them for 15 years. Oh, okay. So when you started using Valpak 15 years ago, what made you decide to go ahead and try something different? I was looking to change. They had a pretty good package together. I was looking to grow my business. Okay? So whatever the case may be, now you want to go ahead and say to them, I understand that, that the reason you changed to Velpac was because you were looking to try and grow your business. Are you looking to try and grow your business this year? Are you looking to try and grow your business next year? Are you looking to at least hear something a little bit different, maybe something with a guarantee, or something that could enhance what you're already doing? Because you've been doing Velpac for 15 years, right, Paula?
Right?
Have you ever seen a new billboard go up?
I have.
Okay, you're driving by and you see that billboard, and the first 3 or 4 times you drive by, it basically stands out to you, correct? It's like, hey, a new billboard. Once you've drove by that billboard 16, 17 times, do you notice it anymore?
You ignore it.
You go right by it. So if we don't change that billboard up, then tend to be less and less people start responding to it. It's kind of the same thing with your marketing. Right? I understand you've been doing Velpac for 15 years, but I think at least it'd be worth your time to sit down with me for 15 minutes to see if we can't help you put up a new billboard that people recognize. Okay? So that's basically taking an approach of talking to them about the fact that you need to look at, I understand you've been with the company for a long time, but it's always good to see what else is out there and how we can help you improve. Okay? You guys like that? All right. 8 steps in overcoming an objection. I do know that in the presentation we do go over this a little bit, but I want to restate it here. All right? The first one, repeat the objection. All right? After you've repeated the objection, you want to remain silent. Give them an opportunity to respond to what you said. They might even change the objection. I've had people tell me an objection, and I repeated it back to them. They said, yeah, but, and they changed the objection. So then I repeated that one. All right? Repeat it so that way you have time to think about it, and they have time to hear it. They might even change it. All right? Gather as much information as you can about the objection. So I understand that you're already doing marketing right now, and you have Velpac and you have a billboard, right? But are you looking to grow your business? Are you looking for more local? Are you looking for more of a wider reach? All right? Ask them questions to gather more information. Check your understanding after that. Check and make sure you understand. So what you're telling me here is that you're just comfortable with what you've been doing. And you haven't really came up with any new ideas to try and do something else. All right? So check your understanding. After that, trial close. So Mario, if I'm able to go ahead and, from what it sounds like, you want to be able to reach some people on the outskirts area that maybe your billboard and maybe Velpac aren't reaching. If I'm able to reach out to that, would that be worth sitting down with me and talk to me for about 15, 20 minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Handle the objection if they give you another one back. Right? But he was pretty like, oh, absolutely. Right? But if he gave me another objection, well, I don't know if I have time. I can handle that objection next. Whatever the objection is, and you're not going to hear just one. You're going to hear a series of objection. Oh, yeah, but, you know, I'm really busy next week. Okay. Guys, this is not a one battle win or lose. If Mario owns Mario's Pizza and he's in zone 19, which is my zone, do you think Mario's going to pick up and move his pizzeria? No, probably Mario's going to be there for a little bit, especially if he's a good customer. All right? And I'm in zone 19 and I'm not going anywhere. So Mario and I are going to be in the same market for a while. Do I have to set that appointment today? No, I can come back. Mario, I completely understand that you're busy next week. How about I swing in the following week or just stop in and say hi? You got some time maybe next Wednesday? The Wednesday after. Sorry.
Wednesday after, sure. I'd say catch me before 10 o'clock.
Okay, let's say around 10 a.m. So I can try and push it out, and if he still tells me I'm not sure what that looks like, that's fine. I can come back. All right? Ask for the order, continue the discussion. All right? So if you get to the point where you feel comfortable that you've answered their question and you've handled the objection, it's now time to close. I like going to the guaranteed close. Go right into it, go over the paperwork again, and talk to them about the amount of money that they're going to be getting back. Make sense? Okay. And then repeat again if needed. If they give you more objections, you just continue to go over it. Okay? So, right now, does anyone have any questions about the different steps in handling an objection?
I think it's just practice.
It is. It's going to be about your practice. The more you practice this, the better you're going to get at handling an objection. The more that you're out there working with customers, the more comfortable you're going to be at handling an objection. It's just like a baseball player. A baseball player, he gets hit a line drive, he's used to that type of hitting. You move him to the outfield, he's got to get used to the stuff that's coming in the air. Same thing with you as salespeople. You're going to hear different objections. You might even hear different ones during different times of the year. You just have to get used to it. Always repeat the objection back and write down the objection so you never hear it twice. Those are the keys to this. All right, that's pretty much it.